The Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Seekonk Speedway and Souza Media. For more information on Souza Media, visit kylesouza.com. And for more information on Seekonk Speedway, visit seekonkspeedway.com. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome in to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. Once again, I am Kyle Souza, the owner and operator of Souza Media. I want to welcome everybody to another edition of the Race Day Rewind here at Seekonk Speedway. This time not a rewind, instead a preview of some upcoming racing here in 2023 at the Third Mile. But as always, appreciate everybody for jumping on board and listening to the podcast and in general being excited about the racing as we roll into 2023 here. Just about a month in already, and that's extremely hard to believe. Had Mother Nature impact an event already this season. That's never good. And we're excited to kick off our Fast Friday series coming up on Friday night, May 26th as part of Memorial Day weekend. And that is the reason for this podcast as we preview the 2023. I'm a year behind here. 2023 Fast Friday season at Seekonk Speedway. Of course, our Fast Friday series grown consistently over the years. Started years ago and started with some go-karts actually in the pit area. It evolved out to the racetrack with the Seekonk Youth Racing Association and the Mini Cups, the Pure Stock division. Years later, we had the evolution in the beginning of the Sport 4 division. Years after that, the beginning of the Legend Car division. And now it all merges together with the Bandoleros taking place in the Mini Cups the last couple of years. So we've got the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits and Outlaws. I'll get into the difference of those two in a moment. The Sport 4 division, the Pure Stocks, and the Legend Cars. 5 divisions strong on Fast Friday at Seekonk Speedway, and always an exciting night out at the racetrack. And this is really exciting for all of us at the track as the season gets underway here on Friday, as now we have 2 nights at the races on a weekly basis, both Friday and Saturday. And nothing better than that for us here at the track, and also nothing better than that, I'm sure, for you, the fans in the grandstands or the teams that are listening to the podcast as well. So that's what we're going to do here on this edition of the podcast. We're going to preview some of the racing coming up on Friday, talk about a couple of the top contenders in each division. I'm not going to be able to touch on every single registered driver in each division, so I want to bring that up front. There's going to be some drivers that don't get mentioned. Obviously, we've got over 100 Fast Friday drivers registered between the 5 divisions, so not expecting to cover each and every one, but going to cover some of the highlights going into this season, and maybe some of the drivers we'll be watching in contention for the championship. Now, let's start off with the difference between the Bandits and the Outlaws. I know this is a question that comes up. Our Bandolero drivers at Seekonk Speedway are young. These are our youth racers, our drivers that are just starting out, just getting their feet wet on the racetrack. Some of them have previous racing experience, whether it be in a quarter midget or something like that. Others of them have no experience. These drivers are jumping out here in the Third Mile for the first time in their racing history, and that's part of what makes some of it so exciting. Now, our Bandit division is the younger group of the drivers. The Outlaw division is the older group. So they're separated by age. Most of the drivers in the Bandits, 11 or younger. Most of the drivers in the Outlaws, 12 and over. Now, there is an age cutoff there, and that's the reason why they're in 2 different divisions. And I know some other tracks in the New England market and across the country may run these divisions together, no matter the age. However, we don't, and it's worked very well for us here at Seekonk Speedway over the years with the amount of different drivers we've had in both divisions and the amount of exciting racing we've had. It is quite difficult for some of the younger drivers to end up with the older drivers that are more experienced. So as you look at why we do this, that's definitely one of the reasons, to give some of these drivers a little bit more of an experience with their age group, and their experience level in most cases is mostly the reason. So, given that, let's start off quickly by previewing the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandit season. Now, what we're going to do here is walk through each division, and then I'm going to be joined by one of our Fast Friday announcers, Brady Coutu, and Brady's going to kind of give us his perspective here, moving into his second year at Seekonk Speedway, as what he's looking forward to, and some of the storylines he's going to be watching as we roll into 2023. Overall on Fast Friday, we have 2 drivers that are going to be defending their championships. They come in the Bandit division and the Sport 4 division. In the Bandits, it's Sam Macedo, The Green Hornet, Cherry Valley, Massachusetts native. He's just 10 years old. Won the championship last year in the inaugural year of the Sunoco Drive for the Cup. Had a quiet year. The year before that, he won a bunch of races in a row. I want to say 7 or 8 in a row. Really stormed onto the scene. Last year, has a little bit of a hard time getting going. Most of the season doesn't run great, struggles. Makes it to the Final Four and wins the championship. How about that? That green number 16. He's called the Green Hornet because he has green hair. It matches the color of his car. No joke. And Sam's been very, very fast when he does race on the track. So at 10 years old, he's coming into this division looking to repeat as champion. Now, some of the other contenders we'll be looking at, Nick Uhrig Jr. This is another rising star in the Bandolero division that's got some experience. He's one of the more experienced drivers in this Bandit division. Himself and Macedo, probably two of the most experienced drivers in this division. They're going to be very exciting to watch. Uhrig picked up his first career podium last year, and I expect him to win this year. I'm going to go out there and make that clear. I think this is going to be his year to get to victory lane, and it might be more than one win that he ends up with when 2023 comes to a close. He's been very close in previous years, and this is going to be a great year for him with his experience level in this division to really go out there and try to set the world on fire and not only win races but contend for the championship. He made the Final Four last year in the Bandolero Bandits. Didn't win the championship, but did make the final. So not out on a limb here saying that I think he's going to win, but definitely going to be a first career win coming out of that stable this year for Nick Uhrig Jr. Those two drivers, to me, along with Parker Davis, the number 14 from Somers, Connecticut, those are some of the more experienced drivers in this division. Parker is going to be fast. You can add Wilka Dibb in there as somebody who's got some racing experience in this division, and Mike Hannafin as well. Mike Hannafin from Marshfield, Massachusetts, is the son of former sportsman champion John Hannafin. So Mike's got some experience as well at 11 years old entering this season in this division. Those are some of the veterans to watch, quote unquote. I don't know if they're ever called veterans in a young division like this, but they're some of the more experienced contenders. Some other registered drivers this year, Jace Chaber out of the Nick Chaber Racing Stable at just 7 years old. He'll be behind the wheel of the 00. Jaden Sprague at 8 years old in the number 10. Ryder Aguiar registered from New Bedford, Massachusetts at 11 years old. Carl Saddlein Jr. from Plymouth, Massachusetts. Mason Silva. And Ryan Helger. Now, Ryan Helger is the other son of Rich Helger and the brother of Richie Helger Jr., a former champion at Seekonk at the Bandoleros. He might dip his feet into the racing this year at just 10 years old. So those are the registered drivers right now in this division. This division is, our youth racing division at Seekonk Speedway, our youngest amount of age group here. So I think we're going to see this division really flourish during the course of the year, see multiple different winners, and really expecting a lot of these different drivers to be in contention to win races over the course of the 2023 season. When you have a championship pick, to me, it's got to be Macedo or Uhrig, but, we are in week one. We'll see what these guys look like when they get on the track here and get a couple races under their belt. Then we can talk about the championship, which will come up quickly as Fast Friday starts at the end of May and ends in September. So May, one event, June, July, August, and September. Those 4 months of full racing, plus the one event in May. So a lot of racing, though, on tap for the Fast Friday divisions. How about the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws? This division is a lot more wide open and a lot more drivers registered in this older division. Some drivers ran in the Bandits for a year. Other drivers have been in the Outlaws. Other drivers are brand new to racing at Seekonk Speedway. And that's going to create quite the different experience level and quite the racing on the track as we get into the 2023 season. In the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws, here are some of the drivers we're going to be watching. Andrew Gomes, second in the championship battle last year in this division. With Bradley Strickland, the champion, moving on, Andrew Gomes, to me, one of your favorites right off the bat. Ryan Van Ness Jr., multiple wins in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandit division the last couple of years. Moving up to the Outlaws this year at the age of 12, he's going to be a major contender right from week one. Brent Robideau, a former winner in the Outlaw division, back this year in the number 25 at 15 years old. He'll be one to watch in 2023. His brother, Bryson Robideau, moving up after 1 year in the Bandit division behind the wheel of the number 38. He is definitely going to be one to watch this year. Did not win in the Bandits last year, However, expecting him to be a contender to try to get to victory lane in the Outlaws for the first time in his Seekonk Speedway career. Both Robideaus are the sons of John Robideau, a former Pure Stock front runner, and also ran in the sport trucks for a couple of years. So, excited to see those two duke it out. Brother versus brother on the track. Good luck to mom and dad on that one. I could see that getting ugly from time to time if they get into each other. And but they're both great kids and part of the brotherly love, I guess, over the course of the season. Some other drivers to watch in this division for me. Colin Van Ness moving up from the Bandits. Another driver that did not win in the Bandits but was very consistent every week, up in the top 5, and really should have won a race in the Bandits. Just didn't exactly fall his way. Expect him to be a major contender this year as he moves into the Outlaw division because of his age. Colin at 12. R.J. Murphy, the son of former Sport Truck champion Rob Murphy, back this year, also moving up from the Bandits into the Outlaws. Dylan Calabro, the number 71 at 14 years old, one of our more experienced drivers in this division. Mikey Lafort III, the son of former Sport 4 champion Mike Lafort. He is also coming back into this Outlaw division with one of the more experienced drivers with this amount of laps in a Bandolero. Mikey's running this division for a couple years now at 13 years old. Going to be a factor here in 2023. Some other names to watch. Jordan Duquette, the son of former late model competitor and sportsman competitor Frank Duquette. Brody Wakefield, Nathan Rio out of the Rio family. Brady Connors. There's a long list here. Colin Floyd, Zachary Keefe. There's a lot of drivers in this Outlaw division this year, stacking up with about 17 already registered here as we roll into the season. And, this is going to be one of our more competitive divisions and one of the divisions that's going to see the highest car count on Fast Friday in the Bandoleros. These two divisions, the Outlaw is going to be a little bit less on the car count side as some of these guys and girls get their experience levels up. But the Outlaw is going to be very competitive. The Bandits, the younger group. The Outlaws, the older group. They're mixed here across the two. The Bandolero divisions run 15-lap races on Fast Friday across the season. And even when it's an Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown, all the other divisions go extra distance. The Bandits and the Outlaws do not. They will stick at that 15-lap distance. And excited to see the youth racing at Seekonk Speedway continue to flourish in 2023. We're going to take a quick break on this week's podcast here, the Action Track Podcast. Fast Friday preview edition. When we come back, we're going to talk about the Sport 4s, the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, and the Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars. Then we will welcome in fellow announcer Brady Coutu, one of the voices of Fast Friday, along with the race voice Kevin Boucher. Brady's going to talk us through what he's thinking rolling into 2023. Stick with us. We'll be back right around the turn. Welcome back. Next lap is underway here on the Fast Friday preview edition of the 2023 Seekonk Speedway podcast series. Before we move on to the Sport 4s, I want to mention a big thanks go out to Seekonk Grand Prix. They're located just up the street from Seekonk Speedway. They've got go-karts, arcade games, bumper cars, mini golf, and much, much more. They are the proud sponsors of the Bandolero division here at Seekonk Speedway. Wayne Darling and his group, go down and visit them before or after the races. I think you're going to have to do it before because I think they're closed when the races are done. But definitely check them out for all your latest family fun. And thanks to them for sponsoring both Bandolero divisions again in 2023. Sport 4 division, as we move on here in our preview edition of the podcast. Another rising division. Years ago, this division had one car race in it, I swear. One car race in this division. It's evolved now. They have some of the best car counts we see on Fast Friday and a very phenomenal racing event each and every week. 25 laps. This division sponsored by Roy Andrade and his team at Everett's Auto Parts. Big thanks to them. You can follow them in Brockton, Massachusetts for all your needs. And Everett's also the sponsor of the Triple Crown Series again this year, coming out in a big way to support the Action Track of the East once again in 2023. The Sport 4 division, I mentioned at the top of the show that only two of our champions would be trying to repeat. And this is one of the divisions that has one that is trying to repeat. Sam Macedo and the Bandits will try to repeat, and Crystal Murray and the Sport 4s will try to repeat. All of the other champions have moved on to other divisions, whether it be here at Seekonk or throughout New England. They are not going to try to repeat as champions. So that's something we'll keep an eye on as 2023 rolls on. In the Sport 4 division, Crystal has to be the favorite going into this year. Multiple wins last year and her first championship. continuing a Murray family legacy here at Seekonk Speedway that is very deep in her Mitsubishi Eclipse from 1997. A lot of these cars come from the 1990s. 98 Saturns, 96 Saturn, 94 Acura, 98 Ford Mustangs, Saturns, Acuras, more of them throughout the field. Basically based on the registration sheets in front of me, the newest car is a 2001 Saturn, driven by Tyler Duhanchik. That is a brand new car for him out of Fall River, Massachusetts. That's the Phil's Propane Prepared entry. And Tyler getting a new car this year. Picked up his first win a couple of years ago. Had a very competitive year last year. And Tyler's going to be one of the major ones to give Crystal a run for her money this year in the division. There's no doubt about it. Jared Freitas is back this year. The Acushnet, Mass native picked up his first career win last year. And this year driving the number 47 MA instead of the 04. Jared's one of the cleanest drivers out there and puts on a great show. So we'll definitely watch him over the course of the season. Taylor Bowser, Taunton, Massachusetts driver in the number 7. A former winner in the Seekonk Youth Racing Association when we had the mini cups. She's moved up into the Sport 4 division, picked up her first podium finish last year. Expecting her to be a contender here this year to make the Final Four and try to pick up the championship. And definitely to get her first win over the course of the year. I know that's been a goal of hers and her family's for many, many years. And she's going to try to do that here in 2023 behind the wheel of the number 7. Sam Matera registered again this year in the number 4. She calls the car Frankie. She's the owner and operator of Boss Lady Graphics. She's going to be out there once again this year. Going to be watching to see how competitive she is in 2023. Mike Eaglefort is registered, the Westport, Rhode Island native, former champion in this division. Didn't run all the races last year. Not exactly sure how many he's planning on running this year, but when he does run, look out, because he is definitely going to be a factor behind the wheel of the number 13. Daniel Hayes back for another year. Had a competitive year last year, his most competitive in his career in this division. He's going to be back again this year. Look for names like DJ Tebow, another veteran of this division, if you're going to count veterans, been in this division at least a year or two. Christine Cavalero's been around a long time. Henry O'Valley picked up a couple of wins last year. Definitely the most experienced of the drivers in this division. The Stonington, Connecticut driver. Couple of wins last year, as I mentioned, and former front runner and winner in this division years ago. He's back for another year. Matt Payan also going to be one to watch in the number 0. Richie Johnson in the 8. James Sullivan in the 2. Justin LeDuc in the 0-2. It's a long list for the Sport 4s. I'm reading off these rosters. You can see these rosters online at SeekonkSpeedway.com. Visit the roster page and take a look at who's going to be out there in the Sport 4s. Will be updated over the years. Some other drivers may pop in. Champion in this division? Like I said, Crystal Murray, Tyler Duhanchik, Jared Freitas, those are some of the drivers to watch when it comes down to the final couple of weeks and contending for the championship of the Everett's Auto Parts Sport 4s. The Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stock Division is also back in 2023. What a competitive class. I would say on Fast Friday, this division has the most amount of drivers that when you look at the roster, you say, oh, there's 7, 8, 9 of them that could win on a weekly basis. And that is no exaggeration. Let's start with some of the favorites. Greg Perry, multiple-time champion, got to be at the top of the list. Mike Hendricks, multiple-time winner, a seasoned veteran, got to be at the top of the list for 2023. Another one that's been at the top of the list for many, many years, took a bunch of time off from this division and is now coming back. Scott Sestodio in the number 15. He is going to drive the defending championship car that Jeremy Lambert drove last year to the championship. Scott is in it for this year. He's a winner and a champion in this division and is not one to be overlooked when it comes time to determine who is going to be in contention for the championship in 2023. Keep your eyes on that number 15 and Scott Sestodio. Another one we'll watch this year as we move down the list is Jared Cadera, the number 20. Picked up his first career Pure Stock win last year, and if I remember correctly, he didn't pass inspection, was able to come back and win another race, I think. I'm not too sure on that. I don't have that in front of me. But Jared's a front runner here and definitely going to be one to watch in the Pure Stock division as we roll into 2023. So keep his name in mind. Ethan Souza, former winner in this division, picked up his first career win a year or two ago and is back again for 2023. He has Freddie Estelle Jr., a multiple-time Pro Stock champion, on his side, helping him on a weekly basis. Certainly that helps him a lot, and we're going to see Ethan at the front of the field for sure this season. Sam Hot Rod Lincoln is back for another year, the defending champion of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown in the Pure Stock division. Picked up his first career win last year in fine fashion, expecting him to be a major player when it comes time to decide the champion in the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks, along with Danny Massa, the Somerset, Mass native in the number 41. Great year for him last year. Came out of the box on fire. Didn't win the championship, but Danny's going to be one to watch for many wins in the championship again in 2023. Those are some of the drivers that pop out to me as ones to watch for a championship. Other names to watch this year. Nick Brightman out of the Brightman Racing Stable. Former winner, very competitive. We know the Brightman name very well. He'll be one to watch. Ed Gold, Exeter, Rhode Island native. Veteran of this division. Took some time off, so like Scott Sestodio has come back the last couple of years and been very competitive. We will see how he does in 2023. Names like Emily Brightman, also out of the Brightman Stable. Matthew DeRozier. Matt Tebalt is another name to watch. Not Tebalt. Matt Talbot in the number 37. Rob Hendrickson, the 55, a name we'll watch. Timmy Ouellette, former winner in our Youth Racing Association, one to watch. Don Kutamaj, the 77. Josh Boddick, the 88. Allison Benoit in the number 95. It's a long list in the pure stocks. Like I said, one of our more competitive divisions at the racetrack, not even just Fast Friday, at the racetrack in general, has one of our more larger group of contenders that could go to victory lane on a weekly basis, and we're expecting to see that once again in 2023 with a long list of drivers who will try to be in the front of the field. Pure stock division, one to watch in 2023. Big thanks to Rich Helger and his team at Helger South Coast Power Equipment for jumping on board once again in 2023 and sponsoring the Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks. Those are just some of the names here on the roster that I think we'll see towards the front. We will see. I'm sure there'll be others as 2023 rolls along. 30 Nick's Pit Stop Legend cars are signed up for 2023. That doesn't mean they'll all race on a weekly basis, but there are 30 different names on the list as Fast Friday kicks off on Friday night, May 26th. The defending champion in this division was Devin Deshays. He is moving on as well, running in a late model at select races across New England. So, guarantees us a new champion in the Seekonk Speedway Nick's Pit Stop Legend Cars division. As I mentioned it, Nick's Pit Stop, located in Abington, Massachusetts, has all the latest in your parts. They even service your road vehicles, so stop on up and see them. And big thanks to them for sponsoring once again in 2023. Legend Car Division came alive, I want to say 2012 or 2013, and has continued to grow year after year after year with a mix of drivers that run Seekonk Speedway on a weekly basis and a mix of drivers that kind of dabble in and run select events here at the Third Mile. Some of the best racing you'll see at Seekonk Speedway in these legend cars. Also some of the toughest racing you'll see. They've had a tendency over the years to be a mix of both. They'll have some phenomenal races. They'll have some rough races, but it all comes with part of the legend car division. And this is a division that runs all across New England as well, so we will have some drivers pop in and out during the season that don't run with us weekly, that will run select events, so that's always exciting to see how they fare here at the Action Track of the East. So, let's start at some of the competitors in this division that we're going to be watching. Well, I'll go from the top of the roster, so no real specific order here. Josh Parsons, one of the veterans, multiple-time winner. Definitely one you're going to have to keep your eye on when it comes to the legend cars in the Nick Wiscola Racing number 09. Knows how to get the job done. Expecting him to be up towards the front of the field in 2023. Brandon LaBelle has moved up from the Youth Racing Association last year into the legend cars. Had some very successful runs during the summer. I would not be surprised at all to see him in victory lane for the first time this year behind the wheel of the number 4, so we'll keep on watching him. Jacob Rowdy Burns, late model winner a couple of weeks ago, is also registered in the legend cars again this year. Expecting him to be up towards the front of the pack in the Nick Wiscola Racing mount. If he can win in the late models and in the legend cars previously, I know he's going to be a factor in 2023. Zach Martinez, a veteran. Pepe runs in the Sportsman Division, the 116, also with a legend car again for 2023. His son Chase Sylvia from Middletown, Rhode Island, moving up after dominating the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Outlaws last year. He will make his legend car's debut during the 2023 Fast Friday opener. He'll be watching, see how he does here in 2023. Also, his other son, Pepe's other son that is, Jake Sylvia, picked up his first career win at the end of last year and contended for the championship. He will be back in the number 78 in 2023. Jace Mungin, a former Bandolero regular, moving up to the legend cars, along with another former Bandolero regular, back in the legend cars again in 2023. This is Isaiah Newcomb in the number 22. We'll watch him over the course of the year. Ben Amato in the 24. Nick Bukele in the number 27. Man, was he good in the summer and to wrap the year last year. Didn't get to victory lane exactly how he wanted, but man, I am expecting to see some big things in 2023 from Nick and that number 27 team. He is going to be a factor to contend for the championship this season. Another one to watch, Mason Tessier, a former winner of the Everett Auto Parts Triple Crown, and I believe he's actually the defending winner of that award, and also a multiple-time winner in the Legend Cars division. He drives the number 42. Look out for him in 2023 as well. We're going to look out for Hollywood, Adam Harrison, the number 47. He is going to be one to watch as he moves up from the Bandolero division into the Legend Cars this year. Curtis Rolando is a rookie contender, former winner in the the Mini Cup division back in the day at Seekonk. Moved on, came back, ran in the Pure Stocks for a year or two. Now moving into the Legend Cars, the Newport, Rhode Island driver in the number 48. Devin Deshays is registered in the number 64. We do not believe he's going to run all the races in 2023. We will see. I could be wrong. Don't have confirmation on that. So if he does, he would be another champion who would defend his championship in 2023. We will keep an eye on that. If he runs every week, look out for him. Some other names to watch in this division, Richie Hauger Jr., the former Bandolero champion, his second year full-time in the Legend Cars. We're going to watch him. And a variety of others. Ethan Avila, Leo Rossi, Colton Teague, a rookie. The list goes on and on in the Legend Cars. And going to be a great season for this division once again. They always put on a good show when they race, and expecting a very similar show as 2023 rolls along here at the Action Track of the East. So there you have a brief overview of each division that will race on Fast Friday in 2023. That does not mean, like I said, we covered every driver. You can visit online at SeekonkSpeedway.com, see the roster page, and you can learn the drivers that are going to be running in these divisions on a weekly basis a little bit over the course of the season. I'm going to be certainly updating my list of favorites after week 1, 2, 3 to see how people run the first couple of weeks. Some of the drivers I've mentioned we know are going to be contenders from previous years, but we will see if they are from 2023 as well. It'll be very interesting to see how the season gets shaken out in each of these divisions. 5 divisions on Fast Friday. A great lineup once again for 2023. All right, we're going to take a break here on the Fast Friday preview. We're not done just yet. We're going to welcome in Brady Coutu, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, one of our Fast Friday announcers. He joins Kevin Boucher in the booth weekly and will be coming in for his second season in the booth. We're going to welcome him into the show and let him kind of help us to talk about some of the storylines he's looking at as the 2023 Fast Friday season rolls on at Seekonk Speedway. It kicks off on Friday night, May 26th. Stick with us for this final break. We will be right back. All right, final lap here. White flag is in the air. Oddly enough, I use that white flag on the flag stand every week, if you didn't know that. White flag is up, though, here on this edition of the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. The final lap here on the Fast Friday preview for our 2023 season. We are excited to get that underway coming up on Friday night, May 26th. If you're listening to this and that has already passed, shame on you. You missed the first Friday of the year. However, in all seriousness, join us on another one. I mentioned it earlier, but we race starting on May 26th. Every single Friday we have a race except the Friday of Labor Day weekend in September. We race every single other Friday starting May 26th all the way through for championship night on September 29th. So definitely join us at the track for a Fast Friday. One you're not going to want to miss as Fast Friday rolls in 2023. We've talked about some of these divisions, all of these divisions already here on this edition of the podcast. I mentioned before the break I was going to welcome in Brady to kind of help us to walk through a couple of the storylines that we've discussed here and get his opinion as we roll into 2023. Now, Brady is in his second season in the booth here at Seekonk Speedway. And Brady, welcome back to the podcast. You are our second guest of the year in the announcing booth. We had Kevin Boucher help us to preview the NASCAR Saturday racing a little bit earlier in the year. Now, Brady, you've been in the booth 1 year. As you get ready for your second year at Seekonk Speedway, what are your thoughts here on Fast Friday? You've seen a lot of racing now, and you're going to be excited just like me to see how this shakes out here as we get into 2023.
Are you calling me old?
A little bit, yes.
No, but seriously, I have not stopped all week talking about how excited I was to start year 2. And I think when you look at last year with the Sunoco Drive for the Cup being introduced, so many people were confused as to what the season was going to look like. And it was so exciting. And I think I'd argue the highlight of our championship night was that Legends race where Devin
Yeah.
Deshays spun out with like 3 laps to go and he ended up coming back to win it. So I'm excited to see more of that. I think we have a packed field, especially the Legends are packed, the Outlaws are packed, Sport Fours, Pure Stocks, a lot of returning faces in those, and then there's a lot of new faces in the Bandits as well. So I think we're going to see a lot of what we saw last year. Obviously, a lot of new faces, and I'm excited to see where we go with year two of the drive for the cup.
Yeah, I think Brady makes a good point. Something I didn't talk about in the first couple segments. That's why I brought him on here. The drive for the cup. I mean, we mentioned it briefly, but the drive for the cup basically is a championship format where, as you roll into 2023, we get to the beginning of September. We take the top 8 drivers in the points at each division at the end of August. The Bandoleros is the top 6, and they are the ones that contend for the championship. The points are reset, and those drivers are going to decide the championship. There's a little bit of a catch this year with the way the drive for the cup, there's the word I was looking for, the Sunoco drive for the cup, works. Last year, basically, it was just an elimination completely in 3 weeks. So the 2 worst finishing drivers in week 1 were out, the 2 worst finishing drivers in week 2 were out, and then the final 4 battle. This year is going to be a little bit different. There are some adjustments that have been made to that. First of all, the playoffs have been pushed up to a 4-week playoff format, so Fast Friday as well. We'll roll to 4 weeks for 2023 instead of the 3-week format. And when you look at the changes in the playoff system, it's not a ton. So I don't want everybody to go out there and be like, well, Kyle said, no, there's not a ton of changes. But there are some consistent changes that are going to help to prevent some situations that we may have seen last year. Chase Sylvia won all those races in the Bandolero Outlaws and got knocked out in the first round because he was the worst finishing of the drivers. That is going to be prevented a little bit this year, given the top 2 weeks of the playoffs. So the first 2 weeks for Fast Friday will be September 8th and 15th. And it's a points format for the first 2 weeks. So there's no eliminations in the first week. The eliminations will come after the second week, where we'll take the top 6. And it's points for those weeks. So on Fast Friday, the playoff drivers will get 10 points, 9 points, 8 points, 7 points as it goes down by 1. So the highest finishing driver will get 10, the next highest finishing driver 9th, the third highest finishing 8th, and so on. They don't have to win the race. So if the playoff drivers finish 3rd on back, 3rd place is still going to get 10 points in the playoff picture because they're the highest finishing playoff driver. At the end of the first 2 weeks, the lowest 2 drivers in those points are out. But it is going to somewhat help prevent Chase Sylvia's situation where he got involved in an incident, didn't make the second round as the dominant driver. He'll have a chance to rebound in the second week. That was a little bit confusing, I'm sure, to some of you race fans. We're going to promote that a little bit here as the season gets going. So, and listen to Kevin and Brady in the booth as well, as they'll talk about the new adjustments to the playoff format and how that's going to impact 2023. Brady, I mentioned at the top of the show, you weren't on with us, that San Macedo in the Bandolero Bandits and Crystal Murray in the Sport 4 division look to be the only 2 champions that are going to try to repeat. I'm trying to get confirmation here as I record on Devin Deshays. He is registered in the 64, not the car he won the championship with last year. I'm not sure if he's going to run a full schedule. That's my fault for not being prepared on that. I have reached out. If we don't get an answer back by the end of this recording, we'll find out here on the first Friday, and we'll make sure we let everybody know on Facebook and at the track. But Brady, if those are the only 2 drivers to return and contend for the championship trying to repeat, the doors are wide open here. And I think some of the names I'm looking at is specifically in the pure stock division this year. Scott Sestodio, I mentioned in the other segment that you weren't on with. Not really a guy you know a ton about because you just came into the family, but a former champion in this division from years ago. And some other guys you know very well. Greg Perry, Mike Hendricks, Danny Massa. Those are 3 other guys I'm looking at. And I think you'll probably agree that those are going to be some of our contenders in this pure stock division.
Yeah, I'm looking at those 3. I mean, Greg, I mean, is so experienced. And, there's rumors, he might move up to Saturday nights, but he's sticking to the roots for at least 1 more year. Mike had a really strong season last year, 3 wins in total. I know there's the running joke that he wouldn't win a race before, was it like the month of August?
Yeah.
He had 2 wins by August. I'm looking at Jared Cordera as well as a guy who really he came on late last year. Um, from what I was told, he looked great in practice. So I think that's a guy who I think is going to make a big jump from 2022 to 2023. Massa is in it every year. They always got that good car. So I mean, it's I'm not expecting a lot to change in the Pure Stock division aside from probably the division champion. I mean, Lambert winning it last year has moved on. But I think we're going to see the same, hard fought. You know, you're getting a lean. You see a guy coming for your fender, you better watch out. 25 laps, hard hitting racing.
Yeah, the Pure Stock division definitely has a lot of that. Sport 4 division, Brady, we mentioned Crystal Murray, of course, trying to repeat there. That's going to be exciting to watch. We've also talked a lot about this Legend Cars division. And going into 2023, I think you have become accustomed to some of these Bandolero drivers, gotten to know them real well last year in your first year at Seekonk Speedway. We have a lot of them moving up to the Legend Cars division this year. Chase Sylvia, of course, we talked about him. Jace Mungin moving up this year. Adam Harrison. You're going to be excited to see guys like that. Stephen Bowden also moving up that have experience at Seekonk in the Bandoleros. They're going to make this Legend Car division even more exciting as we roll into 2023 to see if they can get themselves up front.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing it, in particular Chase and Adam, because these are two great wheelmen. Chase dominated the outlaw division, so I'm curious to see how he makes the transition. Is he going to sink or swim? I think he's going to swim. I think he's going to have a really. I'm not saying he's going to go out, make the playoffs, win a championship, although I think he's got a realistic shot at the playoffs. But I think for a kid who is it's his first year, I think he's going to do fairly well. I'll make the Richie Helger comparison. So I've gotten to know Richie a lot. I was messing with him one day after a race. I was like, you almost had the win, whatever. And he was like, I'm happy with finishing 10th this year. And I was like, why are you happy with 10th? And then Papa Rich was saying, that's one of the higher finishes for a rookie driver I've ever seen. And Mason Tessier was actually standing right next to us, and he was like, I wasn't close to 10th place my rookie year. Yeah. So I was like, oh, all right. So not only does Richie have something to build off of, and I think he's going to have a great second year, I think we could see Chase in a really similar spot. And we can even see Adam in a really similar spot where, they might fight around the bubble, that 7 or 8 spot. Are they going to get in? Yeah, maybe so. Are they going to win a race? Yeah, maybe so. So I'm excited to see them both make the transition. And Steve, too, took the year off after doing well in the Outlaws in 2021. How's he gonna do? I mean, practice has been all right for him, but it's been a minute since he's been in the behind a car. So I think he's gonna wonder is the wheel rust gonna get to him, or is he gonna come out with a bang? We'll wait and see.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see, certainly, here as we roll into Fast Friday. A lot of these drivers and storylines are storylines we're going to follow over the course of the whole season. We're talking about them now, but look out as the season goes along because there's so many different names to watch in this division, specifically the Legend Cars, but across all of our divisions. And Brady mentions the Bandits, our youngest drivers at Seekonk Speedway in that division, and always exciting for me to see the youth racers, and also always exciting to see their families so excited when they run well and even win in their first year. Winning a race is very difficult to do no matter the division at Seekonk Speedway, no matter the division in racing across the board. And, it's going to be, again, exciting in 2023 as we see these competitors look for their first career wins, or in some cases, drivers that have been running for many, many years trying to win a championship for the first time. Of course, champion is the highest level that you can get to here at Seekonk Speedway, and we've seen some of our champions move up to the Pro Stocks, all the way up. Dylan Estrella won plenty of races in the Seekonk Youth Racing Association Mini Cups years and years ago, and he's coming off a win in the Pro Stocks a couple of weeks ago. So very competitive. These drivers end up the list many, many years down the line, and in some cases they move up that list very quickly. Names like Adam Harrison moving from the Bandoleros to the Legend Cars now would not be surprised at all to see him in one of our Saturday divisions here, given a year or two. Brady, we look forward to having you back at the booth in 2023, working with Kevin Boucher, and want to thank you for a few minutes here in the podcast, and I'm sure we'll chat with you here maybe even on a weekly basis as we recap some of the racing and see what's coming up here in the next couple of weeks.
I can't wait, buddy. See you soon.
All right, that's been Brady Coutu. Thanks to Brady for joining us. And that's it on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind Report. In this case, the preview edition of our 2023 Fast Friday series. I am so excited to get it underway. Friday night, May 26th. What a show we've got planned for you on a weekly basis. It all begins at 7 p.m. Every single race starts at the same time, 7 o'clock. It will always start off with the Bandolero Bandits, barring a miracle. And you can buy tickets online, SeekonkSpeedway.com. They're a little bit cheaper in advance, so check that out and get them online. Skip the lines on race day and come on right in and check out some practice sessions before the racing gets underway at 7 o'clock. We do not have heat races on Friday. We have features only. They have a time trial style group qualifying that lines up the races, and our features begin at 7 p.m. Visit SeekonkSpeedway.com for all your latest Seekonk Speedway news, whether it's rosters, results, schedules, tickets, and much more. Find us online and also follow us on social media for all the latest updates that we can have for you here. We will do our best to keep you updated throughout the entire season here at the Action Track of the East. Thanks to Brady Coutu for joining us, and thanks to you, the race fans, for listening. The 2023 Fast Friday Preview Series podcast is in the books. We will talk next for our Fast Friday recap. After Memorial Day weekend, we've got a couple big events coming up. The Memorial Day Thrill Show on May 27th. The American Canadian Tour returns to Seekonk Speedway on June 3rd. And the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour is in town on June 10th. For now, so long, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for listening. This has been the Fast Friday Preview Edition on the Seekonk Speedway podcast series.